a son. He was devoured by earth. There was a God. They call him the Father. And there was a means to make a valley with grace out of this hole that I've dug for me. He made a valley of grace where things would change.
Welcome to the Valley of Grace podcast, helping women reclaim their power and identity so they will know they are enough. And today I have a special guest here with me, and her name is Dr. Chonta Haynes. So I just want to welcome you to the show, Dr. Haynes.
Thank you so much, Katina. I'm excited about being here and especially excited about what you are doing because we're in the same market trying to help the same people.
Amen.
And I'm very encouraged that there are others that are out there doing the same thing because that's important.
It is. It's very important. Like you said, women and out there empowering other women, to know that they can do it. They can get out there, And
Yes.
So what I figure we do is have us to start off with you telling the audience your life story.
Ooh, I don't know if you want to know the whole life story. So
Well, even if you want to do snapshots here and there, whatever part you feel. Yeah.
We'll sprinkle in here and there, and you're
That sounds
absolutely right.
good.
I say, let me pour you a little bit of tea.
Okay, I love that. And we'll drink it.
We'll drink it. Because the reason I do that is because you can talk about a person's credentials, but when you don't know the crisis that they have gone through, you don't know the depth of what they've overcome. You don't understand where their strength lies. And you're talking about the Valley of Grace. And there is so much grace that is truly available that we overcome by the words of our testimony. So let me just start. I'm going to start at the end, like where I am now, and then we'll back into some of the other things. But I will tell you this, after 29 years of marriage, almost 30 years, I got the rug pulled out from under me. And that was that my husband decided he wanted a divorce. Now, I was looking forward to, that easy life. The kids were out and we were going to be enjoying life. Mm-hmm. I was dumbfounded. There were no fights, no arguments, no nothing. And it was blindsided. And so that's why I said I got the rug pulled out from under me. But I was also very anxious because it wasn't something that I was planning, something that I was expecting, didn't know what to do, how to handle this process. When you're thrown into something, you're like, well, wait a minute. I did everything that I was supposed to. I was a good girl. I was in church. I was in leadership, no doubt. I'm the prayer warrior. I'm on all these different teams helping youth, adults, helping everybody. Like, Lord, I prayed through with some other people. I didn't expect that I was going to be in this position. What in the world? Right. And I went in to see my first attorney and it was like, I'm shaking. Like I never had an anxiety attack. I think that's what it was because I didn't know what questions to ask, what to expect. And then they asked for this exorbitant retainer. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. So the dumbfounded, blindsided, anxious, and then there's that shame that comes along with it that we as women have. And we think, well, what didn't I do? Why are you asking for this? What's wrong with me? Back to that. I'm not enough. Is there somebody else? Did I not, dress like I was supposed to? Was my attitude wrong? I'm trying to correct everything. And I'm going to be honest with you. It took about 5 years to get through this for me. Mine was a long time. Because I was still holding on to this isn't really going to happen. And here and God's going to work it out and it's going to work out great. And if I pray through it. So my first step was I jumped into the word. My number one was I'm doing Proverbs 31 woman. What is she that I am not doing? I did a full study on it, book to come out soon. But anyway, I'm sitting there like, I got to figure out me. I'm
Right.
not blaming anybody else. I'm looking internal. What do I need to do, Lord, to make sure that I'm on the right path with you? Well, long story short, in the middle of all of that I was going through, I was like 90% of women hiding in the shadows. I didn't want anybody else to know what I was going through, what I was dealing with. And I was hiding, but I was trying to navigate this process on my own. And it was very difficult. I recognized a lot of gold nuggets along the way that I'm sure I'll be able to share. But in the middle of that, I'm like, wait a minute. There are too many women out here. When I found the statistic that says 1 in 5 women who go through divorce or death, you know, they end up being widowed, they end up in poverty. And I'm like, well, hold up.
Yes,
Here's the
that is
problem
true.
here. There's a group of people that need help. I had already been doing the biblical money management, doing the finances, trying to get us to see money God's way and use those principles, because I believe in the kingdom. If we let our light shine, people will want to know what we have. So I'd already been doing that because I was teaching theology, academic operations officer, doing all the curriculum. I mean, I was doing it within the church. And then when I found this group and I said, wait a minute, this is a smaller population, but they really need the help. And so that's what I started doing now in coaching women that are devastated by the double D's, divorce or death, to confidently live life on their terms with peace and financial security. Because I want to make sure their finances are right. But I also recognize that emotional roller coaster that I was on, honey.
Yes.
That thing ain't nothing to play with. And
Tell
if
me
you
about
don't have God in your life, you don't have that spiritual foundation, you don't recognize who you are, that you're a valued treasure, that God says you're the apple of his eye, that he recognizes that he has placed some giftings and callings on the inside of you. You're not empowered to move forward. And a lot of women are stuck and they're mad, they're unforgiving, they're hateful, they're regretting. And it's like, no, God's got a better plan. So when you finally get to the point where you say, well, you know what, Lord, I didn't see this coming, but nothing catches you by surprise. When I get to the other side of this, my latter is going to be better than my former. I'm ready to go. Whatever you got planned for me, since it didn't work out and I tried, I did my best. Guess what? You can do the rest, because whatever the rest is, you know, it's time for me to step into that. So Valley of Grace, oh yes. One of my favorite songs right now is I Shall Not Want. My soul has a shepherd in the valley and I shall not want. Okay, I'm done. I will let you ask questions.
Ooh, that was some powerful stuff. And I could so resonate with you, you know, because when I think about even when my divorce finished up and me thinking about, like you said, just like financial devastation, you know, everywhere you turn. And here I am, I had a degree. You see what I'm saying? But because I had been homeschooling my children, you know, for a good bulk of that time that I was married. But yeah, it was financial devastation. And I had a 20-year marriage by the time that my divorce went through. So I can definitely understand, you know, definitely empathize and understand what you mean. We talk about the poverty and about, you know, something just taking you totally, you know, off guard. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You know, I'm sorry. One, I'm sorry you had to go through it. I'm sorry that anybody has to go through that. But recognizing that there are so many of us out there, we're sisters. And as sisters, we want to see our sisters rise. I always say, look, let me help adjust your crown. I'm not competing with you.
No.
You got your own race to run. Let me help you get on the right path. And if I can come along and encourage you and give you some wisdom tips, I'm ready to do that, you know? And that's really what we should be doing. If I help you, it's not taking anything away from me.
No.
God has
we
a plan
think that, unfortunately, right? As women, we get caught up in that competition, not realizing God has 100% wired up each and every individual. I don't care how many things me and you have in common. We're wired up totally different. And each and every individual, and he's got a specific journey for each and every individual to walk. And somehow we think, no, if I help her, then that's going to go into my journey. And God's like, baby,
No, and
I'm
it's
bigger
not.
than
You're
that.
absolutely right. I'm glad you brought that point out. We each have our own path to follow. We need to stand in our uniqueness. And when we talk about feeling like we're enough, that's part of standing in your uniqueness. God has gifted you in a totally different way than he's gifted somebody else. I can have all the degrees on the wall. And girl, I tell people, you know, I don't have as many degrees as a thermometer, but I'm getting close. I'm a student. I love learning, don't have a problem with that. But when you get to a certain point in life, it doesn't matter how many degrees you have, like you said, that thing will take you out if you allow it. And, you know, when you look at our community, though, there is a whole nother level, especially when it comes to finances. First, 18% of women, only 18% of women understand money management, not investing, not, you know, doing any savings. They just don't even know how to manage their money.
Okay.
That's the general population. And when you consider the Black community, you know that number is a lot higher. So when we go through something like this, we thought we were secure. We thought we had somebody who was going to always take care of us. But what we do is we switch that resource to being our source. That partner was your resource. God is still your source. And when you get there and say, God, you said you would provide for me. I'm a kept woman. So you show me what you have placed on the inside of me in order for me to work and then gain prosperity. And prosperity is not just money, but it's that good journey, it's that peace, it's all of that together. And you say, okay, God, you're my source. Let me get back to my creator. And when I get back to my creator, I recognize that he didn't create any junk. And I am his jewel. I am a princess. I'm a daughter of the king. Amen. If I am, he has made me more than enough. So if somebody else doesn't acknowledge it, it's okay.
Right.
It's absolutely fine. But our community, we tend to be insecure when it comes to other women. We look at, as my friend would call it, the beauty card. Oh yeah, you got the beauty card. They don't like you. You're too small, you know, because they've gained weight. And just because you gain weight doesn't mean that you don't look good. Be comfortable in who you are. And what you have to bring to the table. But looking at somebody else and trying to compete with them, that's not the answer.
It's not. It definitely is not the answer. I tell you the truth, you know. And, you know, my mother and I were talking the other day, and we've talked about this a few times, but just a few days, less than a week ago, we were talking about it again. I said, you know what? We talked about the fact how when it comes to death, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to having some type of disease in our body, there's no respect of person. So no matter what race, ethnic group, nationality, whatever you're claiming, you're not exempt from those things happening to you, you know, because as the scriptures say, he reigns on the just and the unjust.
That's right.
And then, you know, we were also talking about just because you have all these degrees don't mean you're going to be way at the top like everybody else. Some people, God's going to have us at different levels. But just because you have the, you know, we think I got this paper, so that means that I'm going to be doing something. And sometimes God will like, that don't mean anything. I'm going to put you where I want you to be. You're going to do your best, the best you can possibly do. And you're going to have to let me do the rest according to my will, you know? Absolutely. And some of us are meant to be way up in the 3 million, some of them 1 million. And then we going down from there. But it's not, you know what I'm saying? God has a different plan, different journey, as we just talked about, for each and every one of our lives.
You know, that reminds me, if you go to Matthew 25, it talks about the parable of the talents. Some we're going to get 5, some get 2, some get 1. True. He decides what you have on the inside of you. And a lot of people will say, when I switch to the financial hat, they'll say, oh yeah, if I win $1 million, I'm going to donate this and I'm going to give that. Well, if you're not going to do it with $10, you're not going to do it with $1 million.
Isn't that the truth?
It's not going to work. So he recognizes that even though you might say you're going to do this, that's not your makeup. Everybody can't handle it. When you look at lottery winners, most of them are in poverty within 3 years after they win the lottery. Why? Because they couldn't manage the money to begin with.
Right.
But when you go through this divorce kind of thing, oh, I say, look, my heart may be broke, but my bank account doesn't have to be. So you have to financially think about what you're doing, not emotionally thinking about it. And if you don't have those skills, you need to partner with people that are going to be able to help you. Otherwise, you're going down that same road. The attorneys are going to rack up the charges, and you can sit in their office all day and you can be crying and they're handing you tissues going, that's $350, another $350. Keep talking.
That's Amen. I know about that. Yep. And next thing you know, you $20,000 and $30,000 later, you're like, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Because your spouse might be the
so I understand. Trust me, everybody is, I've had to learn to ask the right questions. And it's not an easy process. Okay, one, you're devastated by this person that you walked down the aisle with, thinking you're going to spend the rest of your life with, because you didn't sign up for just a short term. It wasn't a contract. It was a covenant relationship according to God's word, right? And you go in, you don't know what you're getting into, but you're signing up for the team. Right. And you've taken one for the team. You're settling here if you need to. And so you're already devastated that they're walking out. But then you turn around and you have an attorney that is a charlatan. Really, they're just trying to get more money.
That's
it. You're like, well, who's there to help me?
Right.
And sometimes they're not giving you the right advice. And the part that I really didn't like in this whole process is I was called every name but a child of God. Wow. If I did not know my level of integrity, that no, I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. I am not trying to fraudulently do anything. I had one attorney say, oh, you're trying to make me commit fraud. I'm like, why would I make up a business? Why would we be paying the IRS for this business? If I'm telling you to put it down, there's a reason and justification behind it.
Thank you.
But you have to know who you are.
That's true.
And don't allow them to go off on that, but they will. That's another part of that emotional roller coaster. They make you feel so small.
True.
And then as a woman, I had a paralegal. He hadn't taken his his bar exam, but he was working at this law office. And I remember being in the meeting, it was over Zoom because it was during this pandemic.
Okay.
And I'm going to go from, I believe male, coming from a place of white privilege.
Okay.
And he asked the question, he says, well, you're planning on selling the house later. Why don't you sell it now and move somewhere else? And I'm sitting there, you were a homeschool mom. I'm sitting there like, yeah, I got these engineering degrees. I can't go back into engineering because I lost a daughter 16 years ago. We did. Okay. And so I wasn't in engineering. I was in the church. And I'm like, the income is not the same. I don't have the income to go get an apartment. So now you're making me feel even smaller. Like I can't move. I'm stuck. But I don't think he really recognized that that's what he was doing. But that's demoralizing.
It is. It's very much so.
I worked so hard.
Yeah.
And you're throwing it in my face that I can't do anything at this point.
Yep.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, but I had that to happen too, as far as like you said, it being demoralizing when my ex was not honest, with what he had presented in court. And so I knew I was going to have the money to pay the rent each month. However, what I did not have was money for that, like the first month's rent and 2 months of security. So my therapist had given me the names of some places to go to help me, with that. And I could tell immediately when my daughter and I walked in to talk to the lady that I was being judged, she was looking me up and down. And it was like she wasn't believing me for some reason. And I told my daughter when we left, I said, I guess if we'd have came in there maybe with dirt on us or something, she would have wanted to help us. You know what I'm saying? And I could tell I was judged. You know how you can just, that spirit of condemnation and judgment, you can feel that coming from off of someone. And that's how I felt. And it was not a good feeling, And she said, well, what did you do with your money that you've been getting through the divorce as you've been going through the process? I said, well, because at the time I didn't drive. I had a fear of driving for years. And so I said, well, I don't drive. Me and the kids, for them to get to where they're going, I had to spend a lot of money on transportation. I said, plus attorney fees. You can't just go through a divorce without paying the attorney. So she said, well, I don't think we're going to prove it, which she didn't want to do anyway. But I know what you mean. It was just so demoralizing. And when we left from there, she had me to sign a paper so I can get some food from the pantry. And then what was even worse, to add a little cherry on top of already feeling bad, some of the meat in the bag, was not good. My daughter looked and she said, this meat is rancid. This stuff is bad. And it was not a good feeling. So like you said, when you already going through something emotional, and then, you go to a place to get what's supposed to be assistance for you, and then they make you feel worse, and don't believe you and think that you're making something up based upon your outside appearance, it's just not a good feeling. Yeah.
No, that inside, we are, the Bible says we are the weaker sex.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because of physical strength. Mm-hmm. But we also can become fragile because we are the ones that are already and always nurturing everybody else. We put everybody before ourselves, and we don't do the self-care like we're supposed to. True. We don't get the mental health like we're supposed to. Mm-hmm. You start going through this, you stop sleeping at night, you start wondering what they're doing and why they are living their best life, and then what are you supposed to do? I mean, you can go down a path,
a rabbit trail.
Mm-hmm. Is horrible. But then you have this outside world, like you said, that is judging you. The shame is real. It's not something that you're making up. You're feeling one bad in and of yourself, like, why is this person leaving me? What did I not do? Why am I unworthy? Why am I unappreciated? Why am I not enough? And then the outside world looks at you and say, well, and they ask the same questions. What did you do? Well, what was the problem? Right. Something must have been wrong the whole time, and you did nothing. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. And even like you said, when you're looking for assistance, I say you need to have the right team. Mm-hmm. You need to surround yourself with good people. And the Bible says in a multitude of counsel, there is safety. But it's not just good people. It's the right people. That is true. Help you move forward. I had to cut out a lot of my friends. Most people didn't know. I cut them out because one, I didn't want to ruin the friendship. If you're crying, you're going through this, you're going through an emotional roller coaster, they will get tired of hearing you.
Yes, okay. They will. They will. It gets played out. Right.
Yeah. And you also get those that try to push you forward. Oh, you need to leave him. You need to get this attorney. You need to. Yes. I'm like, wait. I'm still trying to process this. I'm asking the Lord what I need to do next. And I'm trying to be healed over here before I start spewing venom. That doesn't make sense. Right. And so you go through that and it's like, nope, I can't do it. So the best thing that I did was I got an accountability partner that was here. My sister-in-law was really backing me. Oh, no. We're going to pray through this. We're going to fast through this, and family's going to stay together. So those were my two that I talked with. I was making sure I was lining up with the word. Right. But I had to navigate the process myself to figure out what to do and what not to do, what questions to ask, what not to. I had the financial backbone, so I could do the budget. I can do the equitable distribution. We did have a financial neutral at one point. And I took all that information and I said, no, I'm helping as many people as I can. And they can save more money because if you go in prepared and you know what it is that you're in need of, that's legitimate. And you say, this is what I need. And I'm thinking financially, not emotionally. Do I want the house? Well, if I can't afford the house, I'm going to end up losing the house. It doesn't make any sense for me to get the house. Yes. What's going to be the best for me? And you need somebody who knows that road to say, let me help you make your decision. Your decision might not look like mine, but they have to be willing to say, looking at all the pieces, this is the suggestion. Now, here's the steps you need to take in order to get that complete. because it's great to have a great plan, but if you can't execute it, that doesn't help either.
That is true. To have a plan that you are, like you said, you're not able to execute, that can really be a mess, you know?
Yeah.
That is so true. So I got a question for you. Why do you think as with Black women as a whole, that we can tend to stay in unhealthy relationships for so long?
Ooh, girl, you know, that's a apple we didn't want to eat from the beginning. Okay. It is, we stay because we've been told that in the community, in our community, especially if we want to be married to someone that looks like us, same ethnicity, that there are fewer men that are out there that are legit.
Okay.
So if I've got one, I'm going to hold on to this one. Some even say I'm going to share him because I'd rather hold on to this one than to have none.
That's true.
We think that we can't handle it on our own. That's one.
Yes.
The other side of it is we stay in it because when we look out, the men of old were very reputable. They stood up for their rights. They carried themselves in a different manner than those that are doing it today. And you didn't have them wanting to come sleep on your couch and have you take care of them and do all of that.
Cook and everything.
Exactly. Like they're looking for a mother. They're looking for somebody to, take care. We ain't got time for that. We're too old for that.
There you go. Ain't nobody got time for that mess.
Okay. You look at us as women or our younger counterparts. They're displaying themselves as if they are not worthy, that they have to degrade themselves or show more and do more and be out there. So what are the guys thinking? Oh, I can get anybody on the street. So somebody then who is trying to be a person of integrity, who is trying to excel in what they're doing, that have a game plan and they got, something that they're looking forward to. They don't want to have anything to do with her unless they're going to ride her coattails. And so you're in this quagmire where you're like, I can't find a good one. I don't want to be by myself. So I'm caught in the middle to say, I'm going to stay with this. And maybe, just maybe, he's going to turn this thing around.
Yep. Wishful thinking, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah. And in our community, here's my heart. I really hope that our young women value themselves more than some of the products that they buy. They will put a protective cover on it. They will get a nice purse and put it in or something like that. But we don't even cover ourselves to say, I am valuable. I am a gem. I'm not just going to give it away. Because, as mom used to say, why buy the milk? Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
That is exactly what they would say. Yes. Yes.
And so you're displaying, there's no imagination. You're giving it away. And people are taking it and they're using you. And so my encouragement for our young women is value who you are. Recognize that you are the treasure. You are the jewel. And don't just let anybody come take over and act as if you're not that valuable. Learn to have confidence in yourself and live life on your terms. Recognize what you bring to the table.
Amen.
Now, if you're not bringing anything to the table, go back to the table and figure it out.
So okay, why you not able to? Right. Like you said, go back to that table. That Lord, what is going on with me that I can't get this figured out? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So we got to value ourselves. I had one client that was in a narcissistic relationship, and you see a lot of that today.
Yes.
Where they're very one-sided, very demanding. And some women are afraid to leave because they've been told, they've been demoralized inside the home. They've been verbally abused. They've been emotionally abused, and some even sexually abused, that they don't think that they can leave. And they're staying there sometimes for their kids. Because they think their kids are going to be harmed. So there's no cookie cutter, program that you can do because that is hard.
Right.
Sometimes that spouse is text messaging constantly. Oh, you're seeing this person. Oh, you're doing that. And they're threatening. And it's a lot of abuse that is out there. So
Right.
some of us in our community, because back in the day, and see, we're going to flip it again. Back
Right.
in the day, you didn't air your dirty laundry. You weren't
Yes.
authentic. You
Right.
didn't tell people what you were going through, because we gonna keep this, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, what happens in your house stayed in your house. So you
True.
had incest, you had all of that other
All
stuff
of
that was happening, and you didn't let somebody know, so you couldn't get help.
That's true.
That's one of the beauties of today. The young people today are like, no, we're gonna be authentic. We're gonna tell you our story. Now they might tell us way too much.
That's true.
But they're trying to get healed.
They are. That's the bottom line. They're trying to get healed. They've realized that keeping this whole thing inside, it's just not, it's not working for them. You know how Dr. Phil say, how's that working for you? It's not. That's why they're opening up. Because you think about it, even though that's the way it was back in the day, but that's also why, even when you think about among our race, I'm saying people in general, but among our race, it's like, that's why you got all these illnesses, because nobody talked about anything.
Yes.
But it's all, it's all going to the body. That mind,
body, all of
soul
that dis-ease creates the disease. You're absolutely right. High blood pressure, hypertension, you name it. We carried it because it was on the inside. You got to get that spiritual foundation. You got to get that emotional level. You got to get your rest. You got to eat right. You got to exercise. If you don't take care of yourself, who is going to take care of you?
True.
And we can talk about wealth all day long, but if you don't have health, you're going to end up taking that wealth to pay for that health, and then you'll end up broke, busted, and disgusted all over again. So
that is so much the truth. I'm telling you, because some people, they've been like, when I was going through, during my divorce, and even after, when I got really, really sick with my thyroid and my immune system crashed and all of that. And it's like, well, just go out and go get another job. And it reached the peak level was reached when I did go get a job. And that whole, I kid you not, just to show you how the devil worked, that whole company, the company I went to, the entire company, almost, I would say, with the exception of probably maybe 6 people, everybody in there was toxic. And the whole process from start to finish mimicked the marriage I had just come out of. So then I got like really sick halfway working through that. I was there like 9.5 months. So halfway through that time, I got really sick. And you're trying to hold on. And I really should have left before it got worse, but I didn't. Okay. Ended up being let go, which was literally God's grace. But trying to recover from that. And people are like, well, you just go on out, just get you another job, just do this and that. Just like, well, if I don't have my health, how am I going to work? I need to take care of myself and get myself back in order.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to live off support money for right now, but what, to leave from there in that condition and then go straight to another job, like you said, though, that's not how it works. We don't have our health. We don't have anything. I don't care how much another job is paying. You got to know when it's time to get that self-care thing going down and really be able to take care of ourselves before we can move forward.
God says that those that labor and are heavy laden, he gives us rest. That rest is so important. And like you said, you have to pay attention to your health. Stresses cause some of the disease. A lot of the cancers that we have today are stress related.
Yeah. And
we might be genetically predisposed to it, but our choices in life allow it to come through. Or I think someone said the other day, this is, the genetics holds the key, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger. Yep. We have to recognize that we can control some of the things. And we have to do that. I understand what you're saying. I lost my job because I decided, hey, I recognized that there was an imbalance with what I was doing and all of what I was doing at the church and with the home, and I said, okay, well, let me back off here. And they were like, well, then you're not working here. I'm like, whoa. So they end up with
That
no
was
job.
just the end of that, huh?
Yeah. And I'm like, I said earlier, I said, Lord, I feel like I'm flying in the air, even without an airplane. I don't know what your plan is for me.
Right.
And I got to that point. We have to truly depend on God's grace and his direction. I say that if there is frustration in what you're trying to do, that's your human effort trying to make something happen.
True.
It's like you're pulling at the door, but you got your foot on the door too, and you're like yanking. It doesn't work. But God's grace is his supernatural ability that can do with ease what no amount of human effort can. And sometimes we have to step back and say, well, wait a minute, Lord. What direction are you taking me in? Maybe me trying to find a place in this particular location is not where you want me to be. Right. So show me the path that I need to be on. Right. Show me whether I need to get the rest, because if my health is not working, you're trying to tell me that I'm forcing something that is not working. And I have to then step back from that. You know, the smart person steps back from that and says, well, wait a minute, I need to take a reset. Right. Lord, show me. Right. Because apparently I'm missing something. Right. And the beauty of having that spiritual foundation, and in our culture, we lean on it saying it's our foundation, but a lot of us are on the peripheral. We don't have that real and personal relationship. But that foundation is what got us through all of the struggles that we have been through before. We have some resilient people.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Okay. But they depended on the Lord. Go back to the direction. Go back to understanding, having a relationship. Sweet tea and Jesus is what we really need, right?
Right.
Like, look, I need to have a conversation with you. Just a little talk. We're going to make it all right. Amen. If he already sees the end before the beginning. Amen. And while I'm in the middle and the clouds are hanging low and I have no clue, I have to trust that he has my best interest at heart, and it's going to all work out in the end. If it's not good, then he's not done. So I'm just going to lean and depend on him that he is working it out for my good. Amen. We quote it, but do we live it? And that's what we have to do. We have to step back and say, you know what? I'm trusting in the Lord with all of my heart. I'm leaning not to my own understanding. I'm going to acknowledge him in all of his ways and all the things that he's doing in my life, and he's going to direct my path. That's where I need to get to.
Amen. Because like you said, we can get to the point of being so frustrated, and it's like, once you know you've done the best thing that you can possibly humanly do, we got to release that thing to God, or we just gonna be, you're just gonna keep spinning your wheels, Amen. And he's just like, just give it to me. Just give it to me. Because you and your power, you're not going too far in.
Yes, that's why I love the title that you have, the Valley of Grace. When we lean into grace, things are so much easier.
Yeah, if we would just leaning, and I always tell people, like with the clients and when I speak, we got to have a be still and know moment. We got to stop running, stop trying to fix it, stop trying to control, and just be still and see what it is that God has for us. You know what I'm saying?
And girl, you preach it. Because see, I'm going to tell you, I would say that too. That's another reason why we as women in our community, we keep holding on, because we think we can fix it. I used to tell my children all the time, and I still kind of stand behind it, but I said, my mom can fix almost anything. Because as an engineer, we're problem solvers. I can fix it. But what we do as women in our community is we got our super mom cape on, superwoman cape on. We need to learn to take that bad boy to the cleaners and leave it. And say,
leave it there, I'm a black superwoman and about to be, we think we energize the bunnies or something,
Keep it moving. Like, we gonna make this work, because that's what we saw. We saw hard work from our ancestors, and we saw their struggle, and we think that we're supposed to struggle. Now, everybody does have some struggle in life, but we don't have to struggle as much as we do. we take on a lot more than I believe we have to. And then it causes us that health concern. It causes us financial distress. It causes us to miss out on the beauty, for the ashes. Turn over the ashes and say, Lord, I'm looking for my beauty. Come on, bring it. You said joy's coming in the morning. I'm getting ready to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up in the morning. That's what I want. And so when we lean into him and into the things that he has for us, it makes it a lot easier. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that it's perfect, because it still was not, even for me, in going through that. I tell people, I know how money works and I should easily be able to do this, but there is still some anxiety when you say, I'm taking on this big bill. Okay, it's coming. But then we also have that poverty mindset that we more than likely grew up with, that we have to get rid of.
Yeah.
That scarcity mindset that we holding on. We can do some of those things, but not to the extent where it's costing you more energy and effort and it's not materializing to much. So we kind of got to get some of those things out of the way too. But we as Black women, we always say, I don't look like what I've been through. Don't look like what you've been through. Let the light on the inside of you shine through, but then turn around and help somebody else.
Thank you. There you go. That's what you do. Not like I'm going to compete with you, but I can help a sister out.
Exactly.
Right.
But there's a few of us that are out here in this community saying, hey, let me give you a hand up. Let me help you. And my prayer is that more of us will get on that same page and realize that nobody's competing with you. You don't have to be insecure when it comes to me. I'm really not trying to, douse your parade. I can tell you, hey, sis, you look good today. I'm glad, you stepping in that. You looking beautiful, and I started calling like most of the women, like I just say, hello, beautiful, because we don't hear it.
We don't hear it enough.
Hear that we are beautiful.
We sure
don't hear that we're enough, that we're, fine in just the way we show up. And that's unfortunate. And so sometimes we then have to take the reins. When you see that there's a hole or that there's a void, you take the reins and say, you know what, I'm going to fill that. Let me just tell you, you look good today.
Right.
So much I wish I could give back, but I'm not intact to be sharing all of that. You took the price to give me that life, and now it's never gonna fade away. When I see I need more of him, he whispers the sweetest of mercies upon my ears, and I won't go back the way it was again, 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 and now a valley of grace where things would change. I've seen the lights of valley of grace where things have changed. Oh, I've seen so much for me.